Welcome, kia ora. Thanks for coming to watch my jazz piano tutorial on how to play Blue and Green, composed by Miles Davis in 1959. This tutorial will give you all sorts of really good tips, so listen to it all, but you can use the time stamping that I put up to jump around sections. The sections will be the tune, the chords, the soloing tools, i.e. scales, arrangement, and then another little thing that we've included called talk and play, which we'll talk about a bit more when we get to it. Hope you enjoy the video. The tune. I believe the key is D minor. It's got B flats and C sharps throughout the chart. Of course, there is no key signature, and it starts with a B flat major 7 sharp 11 chord. However, I am still convinced it's D minor. Anyway, more importantly, we're going to look at the tune itself. You'll notice on the chart there's no articulation, dynamics, or phrase structure. But that's cool. When they went and did it, they only had a few little bits of paper. That was kind of the way Miles worked. And created this amazing album called Kind of Blue, which is like a hallmark album. Why it's good to learn from it. This particular one will show us lots of interesting things. Now, how to play a slow line. It's really important that you respect your long notes. Let's play the first structure, the first part of this first section, shall I say. Nice and loud to start with, and drop away, because that is what the line is doing. We come up to it. Sweet. Okay. Now, play that a lot. Play each one of these sections a lot. Notice the dynamics we used. And also notice that we didn't hold that last note the full 3, because we want to come down to here and start our second section. Okay, let's do that. Let's play that again through. 1. Now, second finger on the E, and then thumb. Second again, and then you've just got a D minor 7 arpeggio. Now, that's where I've been thinking of letting go of it and making that my second section. Of course, it really is up to you, but it does seem to make sense there. So we're going to do that again, and we're going to join it up like joining up little carriages. We're going to start from the D, which is the end of the first section. And then here's our second section. Notice how we grew up into that C, or got louder into the C. We'll let go here. This is the third section. We're going to get louder here. Less and louder and less, and possibly the most, because it's almost the end. And then the F, not the F sharp, the C sharp into the E. Right, it is a really lovely melody, and it is only small. But now, let's have a look at our last section. What we were doing there, we were going from the F, just getting louder as we went up, softer as we went down, to give dynamic movement. To be honest, I believe that, you can do all sorts of things with the dynamics as long as you move somewhere. It doesn't matter too much. Now, what I just played there is the end. I like to play it soft. Let's try playing loud. Interesting how I was tempted to play it faster because I was playing loud. I prefer to ease that one out, but there you are. There is the whole head. We have to pay attention to our structures. We have to play each piece of the head, play it lots and lots and lots so you can't get it wrong. That way, when you're improvising, you can slip in and out of that melody whenever you want to. Notice the melody note that we start on is also the sharp 11 of the chord, and the next one we go with the A7 is the sharp 11, a sharp 9, so there's a tendency for the alt notes to be in the melody. That's an important thing that we will note later when we're doing the harmony. And give length to your long notes. They're really special, and let them die away. Okay, see you at the chord changes.
Chords. First of all, we're just going to get voicings. Voicing means the order of notes that we are going to to achieve these chords. So, for our B flat major 7, sharp 11, we are going to play this. Sounds pretty. Now, those of you who know chord voicing will notice that there's no 7 in it, and no B flat, and no sharp 11. It's a bit cheeky to use it when you think about it. Anyway, it will work nicely. It is what I often call a Bill Evans voicing, or a rootless voicing for a B flat major 7. The 7 has been replaced by the 6, so we could do it this way, but I think this sounds sweeter. So we're going for that, and that's perfectly okay, just changing the 7 for the 6. Now, no B flat is kind of interesting because, like, sometimes in our chords, if we drop the root down and come up, we've already got a little arrangement trick to use, and we get the whole chord. So here is the beauty of the sound. Now, the last thing to address on this chord is the sharp 11. Now, often the alteration to a chord, the sharp 11 or sharp 9 or whatever it is sometimes the melody note. When it's the melody note, there's not necessarily a need to put it in the chord as well. You can hear if I put it in the chord with the E being the sharp 11, 1, 2, 3, 4 being 11 and raised. So E being the sharp, I put it in here, it sounds a little thuddy, doesn't it? There's no space for the notes to get some vibrancy happening, and that's a pretty sound. So we drop down, we go B flat, or you hear the whole thing together, and here it is with the melody note. So when Miles starts this off, so here we have a B flat major 7. We're going to go D, which is the 3rd, F, which is the 5th, G, which is your 6th, and of course one of my little favourites here, the 9 on the C. The sharp 11 is up here in the melody note, and if we feel a desire for a root note, we just put it down there. Root and 5 is not as important in this voicing or this arrangement. Okay, A7 sharp 9, here we go. Now this is possibly even naughtier than the last chord in how much I have kind of ignored what's going on. If we think about an A7 sharp 9 and think, what does that give us? What options? It's an alt chord. It's an alt dominant chord. That in itself is very interesting. We'll come back to that point, but let's actually say in a kind of a strictish kind of way what the notes would be available for A7 sharp 9. Now, here we go. Here's your root, here's your 3rd, here's your 5th, A, C, E, here's your 7th. 7th is flattened because it's a dominant chord, and we've got to look for 9. So 7, 8, 9, but we're saying sharp 9, so it's raised. So here's the whole chord. Okay. Therefore, why have I ended up only using 2 of those notes? I've gone. So here we have the A7, right? Here's our 3rd, really important note, one of our guide tones. Here we have the 7th, another important note because it's one of our guide tones. Here we have the F. It's a sharp 5. Okay, so he's cheating. Yep, he does. Quite often, don't let it worry you too much. Now, the reason I have done this, one is it fits nicer in the hand. If I go up there and do an A7 sharp 9 that's going to sound good, it's going to get away of the melody coming down. And, oh, have a look at that. The melody notes, because we've got the melody note is the sharp 9. So I could actually leave out any alteration if I wanted. How to deal with alt dominant chords. An alt dominant chord is any dominant chord that has a sharp 9, flat 9, sharp 5, flat, any alteration to it, right? it implies the scale of a semitone above, the jazz minor of a semitone above. So for this one, and therefore you can change the alterations around. Instead of having a sharp 9, you can have a sharp 5 and it'll work. Sharp 9's up here. So here's our choice of voicing for the A7 sharp 9. The 7th, which is your G, the 3rd, which is our little C sharp there, and our raised E, our raised 5th. So our alteration we're choosing is a sharp 5. It's going to fulfill the same role. You can hear how that pretty much sounds similar. It's got that dissonant kind of vibrancy sound going on in it. So it's fine, and it fits better into our hand for where we're going voicing wise or voice leading wise. So we're going to go A7 sharp 9, but we're not. We're doing A7 sharp 5. But notice how smoothly it leads into the next chord. The next chord, D minor 7 with a 9 in brackets. Okay, so the 9's there. What we've done, now if we put the root down here, you can hear that. Well, we won't be playing the root. These chords move a bit quicker. In fact, you'll see in my chart that I've got the D minor 7 and the D flat 7 together because they're in the same bar. Now D minor 7 is going F, A, C, E. A lot of you will recognise that that's actually an F major 7 chord, but if you put the D down here, you hear the full qualities of the chord. Okay, so you can often do that on a minor 7 chord to get a richer 9 type sound. There's your D minor 7. Moving off to the dominant chord. Notice that the voicing we've used here is just a small movement in the hand, all about good voice leading. That sounds quite nice, moving like that. There's your D flat major 7. Now, why is this a D flat major 7? Again, we're going to hit at 3 and 7 to define our chord. There's the major 3rd of D flat. Here is the 7th, the C flat of D flat 7. And to that, we're adding the 6th and the 9. No 5, no root. But if you put the root down here, nice, eh? So there's your D flat 7. Now we come on to the next one. We've got C minor 7. I'm going to play an E flat major 7. Let's relate it to the C minor so it makes sense to you though. So here we've got our 3rd, here we've got our 6th, here we've got our 7th, and here we've got our lovely 9 again. 9 gives lots of rich colour to your voicings. Great to use in slower tunes because then the listener can hear what you've added to the sound. So there's no 9 in that C minor 7 chord symbol, but there's no harm in adding a 9 in. It doesn't change the qualities of the chords. What changes the qualities of the chords is the movement of the 3rd and the 7th, and then suddenly chords become major, dominant, etc. F7 flat 9. What would be a typical dominant voicing of an F7 chord, i.e. 7, 9, 3, 6, often used, and just taken the 9 and flattened it. So our voice leading is very smooth. You're always looking for that good, smooth voice leading that is pleasant for the listeners to get and for you to play over. Okay, so here's your F7 flat 9. It's another alt dominant chord. We'll step it through. E flat, that's your 7. G flat, that's your flat 9. A, that's your 3rd. And D, that's your 6. No need for 5. And if you want the root, nice, eh? Alright, moving on. And then back to the next chord, which is your B flat major 7. Notice how nicely they flow into each other. And we have this alteration note, or sharp 11. This time it's here. So we don't need to alter that chord at all. Same chord, and I'm doing the same chord here, A7 flat 13. Now flat 13 really is just sharp 5. So we've actually got the right chord voicing here. I've kept the same. It just sounds good. Most of the things you do for jazz-wise, focus on, does it sound good to you? And if it does, you're probably onto something good. Okay, this is pretty. It's only slightly different, but instead of the 7, put a 6. And that'll affect the soloing as well. Not much of a change, so we got, there's your D minor 6, 9. So let's just go through that. Here is the 3rd, oops, bit hard, not to worry, 5, 6, and the 9 of the D minor there. F, A, B, E is your choices there. Now, this is almost the last chord to talk about. It's the E7 sharp 9. Now, this is one of my favourite ways of doing these alt dominant chords that are sharp 9s. Now, the E7, just a little useful tip for you in voicing. Put the higher chord tones, like the numbers, above the lower chord tones when you can. Moving on to the A minor 7. This is another way of achieving a nice minor 7, rich minor 7 chord without a root in it. Here's the A down here. We've got no root in this chord. A quick way to get there, remember this, take the minor triad, you all know your minor triads probably. There's your minor triad, A minor, remove the root and replace it with the 7th and the 9th. Then you get a much warmer chord and it still doesn't change the position of the chord. And then we're on to the D minor 7, 9, right, which is the chord that we had up at the beginning of this. So that's all your chords except for the out. Now the out is actually just going to be the same as the first 3 bars. So you've got this B flat major 7, the sharp 11's up here, just like we talked about. Here's the A7 sharp 9. There's your sharp 9. We've added a sharp 5th in here. We could do that if you wanted. If you wanted a little bit more ordinary, or no, perhaps not the 9 and that together. But I actually like this. I just think it works, and that's what you always got to be looking for with your chord voicings. Does it work? And then we finish on, but it's the D minor 6, 9, which I find interesting. That one that. Okay, there is some voicings. I'm now going to play just the voicings through, chording the chords, and you can let this help you get the changes. Again, play the changes over and over and over and over again, so they're just in your hands and you're not thinking about them. That way, when you improvise on them, it's going to be so much easier for you. So, let's just play just the changes. 2, 3, 4. B flat major 7, sharp 11. The sharp 11 is in the melody note. A7, sharp 9. The sharp 9's in the melody note. D minor 7 with a 9. D flat dominant 7. C minor 7 with a 9 as well. F7 dominant flat 9. Back to your B flat major 7. A7 flat 13 this time. Still the same chord, eh? D minor 7 with the 6th. E7 sharp 9. And then A minor 7 with a 9. And D minor 7 with a 9. Our ending, of course, is B flat major 7, A7 sharp 9, D minor 6, 9. Gives a sense of finality. Okay, there's your chords. We need to find out what scales is going to go with these chords, or even turn our chord symbols into scale symbols in our minds. So, first of all, we're starting off with a B flat major 7, and we have a sharp 11. Now that pretty much tells us that if we're thinking B flat, well, sharp 11 means you get rid of the E. So F major is going to work beautifully over that, and is pretty much called for with that sharp 11. Now sharp 11 is also sharp 4 or flat 5, and implies
Lydian mode if you're interested in modes. But for our playing purposes, F major is fine. Now, while we're on this F major thing, it's actually a shortcut to being able to solo over it in total. All you got to do is let the left hand take the dissonance and the right hand keeps what you might call the sensibility or the rudder. But the nice thing is you don't have to think too much. The reason we're taking this tune is to allow us to have other colours, other things that we can do. So, okay, our B flat major 7 is our first chord, and definitely F against that. If you like, you can use the expression the maths works out, because it does. Okay, the A7 sharp 9, we've discussed already this is an alt chord. Now, alt always implies that the scale that you're going to use, listen very carefully now, is one semitone above the root note, so the A, so we're going to go up to B flat, and you play the jazz minor off it. Okay, so this is a new scale for us to learn. B flat, jazz minor. I'll show it to you. It's nice, it creates a bit of tension against that sound, and we can get creative with that. Now the jazz minor is simply, I put this out before but I'll put it again, is your major scale with the third flattened. And you'll hear it. They're not too hard to play, just use the fingerings that you've got there for the majors and alter them slightly. So here we have it. B flat jazz minor, that will come back. That's one worthwhile getting into. Let's do the D minor 7. Now, F's fine on that. And we're not going to spend long there because we've already got F, so that's two scales we want to get into our hands. This one, the D flat 7. Okay, sometimes people refer to these as Mixolydian scales. I'll show it to you. Dodgy fingering at the top, but don't worry about that. It's just D flat major with a flat 7, which is what the chord symbol says too. This is actually just G flat major. Any way that you get into it, those are your notes. Now the next one, we have some options, some interesting options actually, because it just says C minor 7. We could play E flat over that. Sounds nice enough, adds an A flat. This C minor 7, F7 flat 9, B flat major 7, 11 is a 2-5-1 in a sense in B flat. It's a minor one. Now on minor 2-5s you can take the minor and go up a minor third. So C minor, up a minor third, 1, 2, 3, there it is, beautiful. E flat, right? C minor, and play the jazz minor off it. Sounds nice, and as you've just come out of G flat, it's not much alteration. And then, okay, so we've got that, we've got the two, we've got the E flat major, would work fine in there. We've also got the E flat jazz minor. Now moving on to the F7 flat 9. Whoops. Now, again, an alt dominant chord. It's a flat 9 this time, not a sharp 9 or a sharp 5 or whatever else we've used. It's a flat 9. Still the same thing implies F sharp jazz minor. Here's F sharp major. Here's F sharp jazz minor. You can hear how it fits in there, man. You know, the G flat against the G flat. There's the A, there's the third. There's your 7. Fits in beautifully, and then we just drop into the F. Now, we're doing the F there because the sharp 11, even though not stated in the chord symbol, is still in the melody. There it is there. So
Still the same changes through all this bit. Now, this is an interesting chord, D minor 6, 9. In this case, you've noticed you've got a D minor 7 with a 9, a D minor 7 with a 9 at the end, but in the middle, you've got a D minor 6 with a 9. What's the difference? Well, it really is just this, which is an interesting colour. It's nice to have different colours, but it's also implying a different scale, which is, funnily enough, is just D Dorian. Or, if you want to get real, C major, all the white keys. Another colour, so that's kind of handy. Okay, on to the E7 sharp 9, another alt dominant. Now we've already talked about the alt dominants quite a bit, so this will be easy to find. Semitone up, F, jazz minor, F, jazz minor. Hear it? And then on to A minor 7, 9. Well, now C really. No harm in slipping the B flat in if you are wanting it there. And as you're going on to the D minor 7, 9, doesn't matter. Now that's back at your F as well. Okay, so that's our scales. Now just let's have a quick look at the end, and then I'll do a quick run of each scale. B flat major 7, sharp 11 is how so we're still the same one, F, and the end, we know that one, that's the B flat jazz, and then we're just finishing. Now, I think that's really kind of interesting, putting the D minor 6 there, because it provides us a little bit of a dissonant note on the end. Let's walk each one through. First of all, F major. I'll just do the right hand, but you can see F major. Just the one flat. And then the next one, the next soloing tool is the B flat jazz minor. You can see this one. The next new one is off the D flat 7, which is either D flat Mixolydian. We're just going to show you G flat major, same thing. Now the two coming off the C minor, the E flat, here's E flat major. And here's E flat jazz. I think I prefer this one, but yeah, it's your call. It's all your call. You can play through on F if you like, or just make it up. This gives you choices of the sounds by knowing your scales. Okay, then it goes F, B flat jazz minor, oh, C major. You don't really need it, but I will play it, you know. Funnily enough, this gets a hard scale after a while. Going fast, you get lost. And then after that, the one that goes with the E7, the E7 sharp 9, which is F jazz. So hopefully jazz minors don't seem quite as difficult and almost bordering on really useful tools to use. Once you want to present this to people and capture them, we want an arrangement. And 10 bars and then 3 at the end as an ending. It's not really classified as an arrangement. Just saying. Anyway, so what are we going to do with this? I will show you an arrangement. Ideas. They're just some. You can do what you like, but I like this. Which is just your B flat major 7, sharp 11, which enables you as a player to kind of show chords or the colours that you might be wanting to bring to the party as such. What's this going to sound like? So our introduction is going to be our B flat major 7 sharp 11 to A7 sharp 9, or we're playing sharp 5, but just think A7 alt. And we're just going to have a play over it using F major, and because we're going to use our jazz minors as well, we'll use B flat jazz minor. So that's our opening, and that I suggest you make your closing too. Bookending something is beautiful, and then the rest of the arrangement can be quite simple. The rest of the arrangement can be just dropping into the whole section, playing the whole section through once, and then blowing the solo. In the solo, perhaps you might consider blowing out some of the harmonic rhythm. By that I mean, don't necessarily always play D minor 7, D flat 7, C minor 7, F7 as half notes. You might sometimes give 2 bars to each of that and explore them. Or you might take other parts of the tune and squeeze it up, or you might get stuck somewhere, intentionally or unintentionally, it doesn't really matter as long as the audience is with you, playing over a certain change. You might decide you really like E7 sharp 9. That just might be really hitting a nerve as far as what you want to express in the tune. And so you might hang in there a bit. You might be using that to get your angst out there. If your version of Blue and Green is one of deep sadness, or deep anger, that sounded a bit more angry, didn't it? So you might stick it someplace. That's totally your choice. The thing is, you want a plan to start with, and it doesn't matter if you don't stick to it. But have a plan to start with, otherwise you end up with a really bland arrangement, and you want some sort of idea. Our idea for this tune is going to be quite simple. We're going to bookend it with the B flat major 7, and always be simple. Don't make the plan too difficult. You'll forget halfway through the tune what it is. So we're going to bookend that, and then we're going to play the tune. So we're just going to drop onto the... Now, I know I gave this a bit of a bad rap before saying there's only 10 bars, that's not an arrangement. It's actually quite beautiful, just these 10 bars. So I actually like playing this here pretty much as is. Nothing too flash, following those chords through. Perhaps a bit of a drop down. You might drop down to the B flat again here. And you might do a bit more drop down, but pretty much just play the head. Second time through is when you want to start soloing. Now you've already had a solo at the front. Keep that in mind. You've got to keep your audience interested. So don't take a big solo, just work your way through that, perhaps expand something, perhaps twice, no more than twice, man. And then do your ending, because that's pretty, and drop into the bookend and fade out. So there you have an arrangement. Now you might come up with other arrangements, but as I say, don't make them complex. If you make them complex, you're going to have some trouble. So like, when we want to come down on our very ending here, so we hit the D minor 7 chord and then we moved off back into our bookends. You don't have to end on that. Right, coming out of your bookends, you got this. Now we've already pretty much defined that the key is D minor. To finish on a D minor 6 might be nice. So that's our arrangement. Following roughly the arrangement that we've talked about, I'll mess with it a lot more on the solo, but what I'm going to try and do is talk and play at the same time. In this case, the idea is to impart some information about what am I thinking when I'm doing one of these tunes as a solo. So here we go, Blue and Green. We're going to start with the bookend. So nice low B flat and not too much. Don't need the audience knowing too much what the tune is. Just catching their interest. And this is the B flat jazz minor.
little bit slow. So we're just going to speed up here. Wrong note, but who cares? So we're into the chart. We're just using drop down left hand to give a bit of weight. Blew that change, but doesn't matter. That wasn't, that clash was there, yeah. And then up to the D minor 7. Now we can start our solo with the impression that perhaps we're going back to the head, because it's very short. Often these short heads are played twice. But we're not going to, we're just going to start moving off. A lot of that was just trying out those scales and seeing what's there available for me to. That was definitely the B minor jazz, and I'm slowing up the harmony a bit just so I can talk a bit more. And now we're into the D minor 7. And then we're just going to go back into it. See if I can show you a bit more about soloing. That was definitely on scale. Coming down the B flat minor jazz, F, G flat, E flat. Now I followed the chord more than the scale there, because I just put a diminished across the top and slowed it up so I could talk. But here we have the B flat major 7, so we're back into F. So we had a lovely little conclusion there and used dynamics more than necessarily harmony to make that work. Now we kind of like that, so we're going to go back to the B flat major 7. So I've messed with the whole chart now. We're on to the E flat E7 sharp 9. Now we're on the A minor 7. That's what you call stretching out the harmonic harmony. I played the B instead of the B flat because I felt like it. I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen. I haven't played much of the head, so I might play it to our audience. Perhaps not rushing, but with motion, as you'd say classically. Finish. Back into our bookend. Won't stay here too long. We just gave the audience the impression that we're finishing, but a little bit more jazz. Thanks heaps for watching. That was fun. The talk and play, or play and talk, that was really fun. And I hope that you enjoy and picked up lots of tips to take into your playing. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click notifications. Cheers for now.